Welcome everyone, and today you join me at Weston Fishery on the Canal pool, which is just behind me here. Now in this video it's going to be a 3-part mini series of how I'd attack this peg in the winter months. The lake's got a lot less colour in it now, it's very clear, the fish are balling up and you've got to make the most of the areas of your peg. By this I mean the first area I'm going to look at is across. So what rigs I use, what to look for, how I feed it, and hopefully we'll get some bites and catch some fish. The second one is down the middle, into the channel in the deepest water. Some days when the fish don't want to go up the shelves, they want to feed in the middle, this is the best area to target. And then finally we'll end on them good days when it's a bit warmer in the winter, or even there's a few fish lurking around down the edge. We'll just run through that. So bait, rigs, what to look for, where to fish, and how we go about it. So let's get the first one underway, jump back on the box, and I'll see you there. Right, so we're sat on the peg now, and for those of you who don't know, we're sat on peg 42 on the Canal pool. This is a really nice peg because you can fish up to the far bank. There's a really nice shelf, there's a nice deep channel, a big bridge for cover, and then we've got a nice point to fish down the edge too. Now this first part is going to be concentrating on fishing pellets across to the far shelf in the winter months. Now what I'm going to do is run you why I've plumbed up in certain areas, what rig I've got, and the bait we're going to use. So let's get started on the plumbing up. Today we're going to start off with the plumbing up across for the pellet line. Now important thing to look for is a nice sharp steep shelf which you can get your pellet on. You can get a lot different depth. Now this peg offers that. You can get depth from 5 foot up to 3.5 foot. Here at Weston pools the edges are quite deep, so you're not really going to get any shallower than 3 foot across there, tight to the reed line, 3.5 foot at a push. So what I've looked to do is I've fished next to the bridge because there's a nice cover there, and I feel the fish, if they want to hold there, will be under this big bridge. I'm going to fish on the shelf. Now I've chose to go up the shelf. This is because it's not gone super cold yet. There's a few matches and people are still catching the odd fish down the edge, and I don't feel the fish are dropping down into 4 foot, 4.5 foot. But when you're fishing, it's important to find information out, whether you're pleasure fishing, match fishing, just find out where people have been catching them and their areas of the peg. For example, if they're all catching them at 5-6 metres or in the deepest channel, that's where the fish are. If they're catching them across and down the edges, then look to fish in 3 foot or 4 foot. If your venue is different than 2.5, and if it's a bit deeper, 4.5. So what I'm going to do now is run through the rig I chose today for this fishing. Like any of my fishing, I like to keep it dead simple. With pellets, they're quite an instant bait, so you want to be fishing straight away. You want to get your rig in straight down to the bottom where you're going to be catching these fish. So the rig replicates this. Today I've got a 9 Jura slip, sorry. This is because of one of my go-to elastics in the winter. I've been using it, I can handle carp, I could catch an odd skimmer today, and I'm not going to bump anything. Stocky F1s, big F1s, it's perfect. Down to 015 mainline. This because I don't feel the need to fish 017, but 015 is still nice and robust. It's not going to let me down, it's not going to wear. Now I've got a F1 pellet float, 4x14. This is because I just want to get my rig in position nice and quick. Don't get me wrong, you could have a 4x12 over there, but with the 4x14 just adds a bit more stability. They're quite big lakes, narrow channels, aerators have been on, there could be a bit of movement in the water, and I just want to keep it nice and still. Now the shotting pattern couldn't be simpler. It's just a strung bulk, 1 inch apart of number 9s, so it's nice and positive shot. So if you get them bites, you're going to see a sharp indication in your float and you're going to catch some fish. This is down to a 4-inch hook length, 011 SFL in a size 16. I like a size 16 because it's a big hook, and expander is what we're going to be using today, and you can hide the hook in the expander. So that's the rig, nice and simple. We see where we're going to plumb up to the far bank, so let's just talk about the bait and then we'll get some fishing done. With any fishing in the winter, it's quite simple. You just want to keep it nice and simple, don't do too much bait, and keep it nice and easy. And today is no different. We've got Fishery mica pellets. All I've done, put them in a little tub, covered them with water and left them, and they're all nice and spongy and ready to feed. Now you may ask, how are we going to feed this? Are we going to throw it, catapult it, feed with a pot? Well, we're going to feed with a pole pot. And there's two different ways you can feed with a pot. You can either take your lid off, fill your pot up and clump it in one hit, so it just goes down in one hit. That's one way of attraction. The second way is, if you can fill your pot up, get them in there and you can sprinkle your bait. This means you can feed 3 or 4 times. When it's really hard fishing, you don't want to be shipping back all the time. You just want to be feeding 10 micro pellets, sit there, see if you can get a bite, feed 10 more, and this will draw more fish into your peg. Now the hook bait, couldn't be simpler. It's just Pro expanders in 4mm. I've got some old Fin Perfect ones there as well, nice and gold. I've just left them in a tub. You don't really need to drench them in water nowadays. The sun's not really out and you keep them nice and fresh. Don't put them all in your tub. Keep a few back for halfway through your session in case these deteriorate. That's just a nice little tip so you can keep your bait in top condition. So that's the bait. We've seen how we're going to feed it. We've seen the rig. We've seen where we're going to plumb up. So now let's get some fishing done. So we talked through the rig, where to plumb up and bait. Now let's get some fishing done now. So what I'm going to do is just grab my expander, just a nice round one. Place my hook into it and push it round so it's nicely on the hook. Now to start the session off, I'm going to feed with a sprinkle pot. This is just so I can draw some fish in. I don't want to go too gun-ho. I don't want to feed a big pile of bait and then not get a bite. So all I'm going to do is put the sprinkle pot on. Now I'm going to take the lid off and say I'm going to put in 40 micro pellets just to start with. I'm not going to feed them all in one go. I'm just going to feed it bit by bit. Now it's a long way across there to that far shelf, probably like 14, 16, 14.5 metres, but I've got a short kit and a short 4, so I've got my 16 metre piece on. But it's a fair way across there, so you don't want to be shipping out too fast and spilling any micros in your peg. All you want to do is get to your mark at the end of your pole, in line with the stanchion, just off that butterfly on the bridge. Tip your pot halfway over, sprinkle 10 to 15 micro pellets in, and then now you can lift your rig into that, hold it there, make sure everything's nice and straight, lower it down. Now you're fishing. So all you want to do now is just keep everything nice and still, indication straight away then, nice and still, and wait for a bite. Hopefully, oh, didn't take too long. Sure this is. Because you've sprinkled that pellets in, you've drawn them fish in, it's like loose feeding. They come to the noise, not sure what it is, could be an hide. We had this problem the other day on the other film. No, it's got to be an F1. I'm obsessed with fish being eyes. But keep the pole nice and slow. Remember, you've still got some micro pellets in your pot, so you don't want to sprinkle them everywhere. Nice little stocky F1. That's what I mean by fishing pellets across. It's so instant. It's literally 10 seconds there and we've got one. Ooh. Take it nice and easy. You've got a nice big hook. Not going to fall off. It's a nice star. Nice ghosty F1 to start with. Can't go wrong with that. It's quite surprising. It's quite cold today. It's quite surprising how good that was to start with, but same again, just slide your pellet on. Just going to check how many micros in there. No, we should be good to go. We didn't spill any on the way back. But good, be nice and careful. This is why it's important to have your rollers set up at a nice height, so when you come off your roller now, I'll just tell you when I'm coming off my roller now, and there's no banks in my pole, there's no erratic movements which is going to spill that bait. Just remember, it is winter time. You've got to be really careful where you feed and how much you feed. So we're just going to go the same again on the end of that butterfly. Just going to tap 10 to 15 in, lift that rig up, then positive shot will push that rig straight into position, just up that shelf. The indication straight away then again. So if you get a bite like that, just hold your rig and just reset it again. important to be just nice and patient. Just because we've had that bite dead quickly, and we've caught another one just as quick, doesn't mean you have to be filling your pot. A few indications there. Filling your pot every time and going for it straight away. These fish could easily just be like little mugfish, to be honest. We've got another one. But like little mugfish, and then you don't want to be going too mad. You're catching them by feeding next to nothing, so just keep doing that. That's what it's about in the winter, little and often. You can't take it out once you put it in. Just keep nice and steady. You see that 9 Jura slit works lovely. Bit bigger stocky this one. It's an F1. Just under £1, so you can't complain at that in the winter months. Catching them. Especially on a day like today, it's really bitterly cold. Well, that's what it's all about, just keeping that process so it's like in your head. Roll your expander on, make sure it's right, come back, check there's any micros. We've still got a few micros in there, to be fair. We've only fed twice, so we're all good. I said don't be going too mad now. If you're in a match, it'd be good sign. If you're in a pleasure session, it'd be really good. But just don't go too mad. Remember, coming off your roller now, nice and easy. You're going to get to your mark, which is there. So all your rig's going to fall straight on the thing, and we're going to feed all this now because there's only about 10 there. So we fed all our micros, holding the rig out. I'm going to lower it down. Now, one thing you can change because the fishing is getting really good. When I fed my bait there, now there's a lot of signs and wobbles. So what that means is I might need to feed a lot more bait in one hit. This just allows the fish to come in, pick my up bait up, and reduces any knocks and taps we're getting. Another little stocky. Nice little mirror one there. Ooh, just popped off. Nice little mirror one. Lovely little markings on him. Because it's been so productive, we'll just keep going with it. Same again, hooking the expander. Now we're going to have to fill the pot up again. With a few this time, just about 30 or so, because we're getting bites really quickly. It's really important what you think about what you're feeding. There's no point going in with 50 micro pellets, catching a few fish and then wondering why you can't get a bite. Like I said, just keep everything in line, nice and settled. Get to our mark now, which is the end of the pole. Don't do it too far off the water, just about 6 inch. Tap that bait in, lift that rig, you'll see it wiggle, and then as soon as it goes straight, lower it down and you're fishing straight away. So if you see you're going to get a dink as it hits the bottom, you're going to see it because your shotting pattern's nice and positive. You'll see the sharp little dinks and you'll be able to catch the fish. Now, say if you had a 4x12 or a 4x10 on it, it'll take a little bit longer to go down and you won't be able to have such as many shot on the line to give you them sharp positive dinks. This is why it's important to pick the right float for the situation you're fishing. Don't be wrong, if you're fishing for less fish and really clever and wary fish that like massive F1s, we're not getting many bites, we're getting 6 to 10, then I'd change it. But see that there, we had a few indications and then we've just changed. We had 3 fish dead quick, a lot of indications, and then I just fed and I've caught one straight away. No sign, just nice little dink. That's what I mean about don't go too mad with it. Ooh. Nice F1. A fantastic sport in the winter months then. Fantastic sport. Lovely fish to catch. You can catch them all through the year. Seems to be a few fish moving about today. So as I said, I'm just repeating myself here. Slide the pellet on with your pellets. Now I'm going to feed all them. There's probably about 15 to 20 in there, so I'm going to feed them full hit, tap them out. Not too hard the water because it makes too much noise and the fish will come off the bottom. And that's when you get a lot of liners, and that can lead to foul lookers, missed bites, and that's what you don't want when you're shipping so far across to catch these fish. Now you hear me mention before, I've got a short kit and a short fore-in. Ooh, tap that bait in. This is because it keeps the pole extra stiff. Say if I was to use a long fore and a short kit, it'd be nice and stiff at the top kit. But if I had a short fore, it makes the pole really stiff and responsive, which is ideal. Ooh, there's a prick one then on the way down. Which is ideal when you're fishing for F1s. These shy little bites. You've got to lift at every sharp dink, and seconds when you haven't caught them, you can miss them, and then your pole to resettle can cost you. So it's just important to make sure all your setup's right, like your rollers are in the right place, your rig's right, your elastic's right, even you got short kit, short fore-in, or short free in this case, landing nets to hand. Got another little ghosty one. You see that jaw slip's lovely. Should have netted in there. Lovely to see these fish in the clear conditions. Probably see about 2 foot down. Look at that. That is fantastic. We'll have a couple more, and then we'll call it a day, but it's been really good. You can see we're getting lots of bites now. You have to fill this back up. Don't be too hasty making a decision with having to feed a clump. Just if you're getting bites and keep catching, then don't make a change. I did foul look a little fish, I pricked it, but I think that was just me being too slow trying to get my rig in. That's why it's important just to keep it all nice and neat, keep it in a nice routine. You can keep getting them bites and hitting them. But what more can you ask for on a cold day like today? Catching some F1s up the shelf on pellets here at Weston Pools. Look at that. As soon as them pellets are landed at the same time as my micros. Count with my head and get a bite straight away. Wish I was lucky enough to draw it in a match. I've been on it a few times, to be fair. Hey up, same fish. No, he's not, a bit different. Another little ghosty. Brilliant fish then, look at him sticking his fin up for us. So keep everything neat. I always speak about in my videos, just keep everything tidy. Nice and smooth. Smooth is fast efficiently, so just want to see there's not many in there. There's only about 10 in there. Just grab a few more, pinch them in. Last thing you want is just to spill your bait all over your peg. Get to that mark there. Just be careful when you're tapping your pole, you don't whack it too hard. It can cause damage to your pole. Just want a nice little tap, it'll shake them pellets out. See that there, it's set now. Drop it in. Ooh, missed a bite. So if you miss a bite, just lift it out, hold it there, drop it in again. This is the beauty of the sprinkle pot. If you miss a bite, and the only reason why you got this bite was because you sprinkled some in, you've still got some pellets left in your pot. So you can give it 2 or 3 minutes, you can turn it back over, sprinkle some more in, and catch them like that. That's the advantages over just feeding one clump. Now if I was to feed one clump, I'd literally have to come back, I'd feed again, and it save time, save you shipping in and out all the time. You see it's elastic working, working lovely. A foul little one. It's not ideal. So I put about 25 pellets in now. I'll feed them all at once. That's my idea of thinking. I've had that one fall off. That could be just one that's just lightly hooked, or don't think too much about that at the minute, but I'm just going to feed, do it all at once. So get to the end of my section there, spin my pot over. I'm going to lift that up, make sure they all settle. Don't put it in too quick. There we go, fishing straight. Ooh, liner. See, now I might have to change to feed clumping to catch these fish, because there's 2 or 3 indications there which I've missed. One just tried to drag my elastic out then, which is ridiculous for this time of year. See, we're getting a lot of sign indications now where we've fed a lot more bait and probably sent them fish crazy, the ones that are there. Oh, there you go, got him. It took a bit longer that time, we fed more bait, so I'm thinking now, I'm going to feed less. I'm going to feed like 10 and sprinkle them in. Oh, this could be a bit bigger, this one. It's gone mad. I'm going to feed about 10 just so we can get a quicker bite. That's all I'm thinking now. We fed a bit more and they went a bit daft. Bit bigger F1. So what I'm going to do is feed 10, see how quick I can get a bite. Look at this chap. Like I said, it can't get any better than this. Look at that. Nice F1 on pellets. Nice little sharp dinks. Catching on expanders and fishery pellets. Nice and cheap. Just a bag of pellets from the shop and a bag of expanders. Probably last you all winter. Both of them, to be fair. You're not feeding much. Just spin that on again. Well, this time I'm going to take that pot off, the sprinkle pot. I'm going to pick up my small pot with a bigger hole in. I'm going to feed more bait straight down like that. So I've picked up 10 to 15 micros there. All I'm going to do is just do that in one hit and see how fast we can get a bite. Now, one little tip I'll give you is, say you chuck some pellets in, you can count how long they take to go down about a foot. Now, for me that's about 3 seconds there, so if I'm fishing about 3.5 foot deep, I want to be counting my bait about 10-11 seconds. So what I'm going to do, it's a little tip, just to get it in line so it all land at the same time, and that's when you can get your fish. So what I'm going to do is spin my pot over, there we go, feed it one hit, and then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So lower it down like that. And now, we haven't put the rig in too early. So if we put the rig in too early, there you go. Nice clean bite. If you put the rig in too early, oh, where's he off? Put the rig in too early, you might get a missed bite and indications like we did do before. And if you put it in too late, you could be putting it into fish. So it's just check. You can see the bottom of you can see the water a foot down in this moment in time. Just count in your head And you've got that whenever you go fishing. 3 seconds per foot. Hey up, little crucian one. Look at him, big fantail on him. Look at him. Ooh, don't want to drop him. That crucian-y one, look at that. That's awesome, that. Lovely little fish. Right in the top lip, so you know it's perfect. So we're going to have one more and then we're going to call it a day for the pellets. So we're just going to put the expander on again. Call this one the last fish. Fill it up with 10 to 15 micros or so. Same before, what we're going to learn from today is about your rig, about your feeding. Make sure you're not feeding too much, you're putting your rig in position, you're counting your bait to the bottom so it all falls exactly the same. These venues have gone so clear now, I can see about 2 foot down on this canal today. These venues have gone so clear now. The fish will be watching everything and you don't want to be doing too much. Like I said, I'm getting to like 8, 9, 10, 11, there we go. Dropped it down there now. Bite straight away. Ooh. So that elastic's working really nice. Rollers are all set up nice, they're just going to come straight off the roller onto my knee. Where's he going? This is what I mean about this elastic, it's nice doing a few runs there and just shipping back nice and under control. Not worried about the hook pulling or losing it. I'm just going to lift him up. The fish come to the top. Just a mad stocky. Not really stockies to be fair, like 12 ounce a pound. Nice fish, but nice fish to end on that. That's about a pound. Straight in the top lip as well. So there you go. That's just a rundown of how to catch a cross on pellets in the winter time on 42 Canal. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to look out for part 2 where we'll be fishing maggots down the middle and how to catch the most from this area. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you on the bank soon. Cheers.